Hello, I'm Michelle Bohm, and I'm host of a new show brought to you by I've Decided called Inspired. I live my life to be inspired, for those goosebump moments, for those sparks that leave me no choice but to take action. And I know that the fastest way to success and transformation is to share those stories, to hear them and learn from them. That's what Inspired is all about. So join in on the first Tuesday of every month through I've Decided. Hello, my friends, and welcome to Inspired TV, brought to you by I've Decided. I've Decided is an organization based right here in Peoria, and we work really hard to bring together all the tools that you need for your success story. I know this is a busy time of year for everyone. We're all in the swing, the hustle and bustle of the holiday season, but I sincerely hope and I encourage you to take a minute today, take a minute every day, but especially today, and take some time to really think about and prepare for your success. And that's what we're going to be discussing today. I have some fantastic guests with me here today. My friend Vicki Streetmatter and Jeannie Quick. Welcome, ladies. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Let me tell you a little bit about Vicki. She is really passionate about helping people in a lot of ways, but especially in the area of personal finance. And so she founded Empowered Financial Living, where she serves as a money mentor to help coach people along the path to financial freedom. We all know that a lot of stress is caused by money and poor decisions about their money. And I know, Vicki, you struggled, you had that stress, and that's why you created this this for other people. In our I've Decided community, we refer to Vicki lovingly as the female Dave Ramsey. But I like to think of her as a mom that gently, without judgment, encourages you to make mindful choices about your money, which is why you've called it Empowered Financial Living, to really empower each other. So welcome,
Exactly.
Vicki.
Thank you.
We're happy to have you today. We also have Jeannie Quick joining us. You probably recognize Jeannie as your favorite Keller Williams realtor. You've been doing that for a few years.
17.
17 years, just a few. That's actually how we first met. But Jeannie has another passion. She is a coach and a mentor and has been for as long as I've known her. I mean, you really took me under your wing when we were starting in that business together. And now you have taken that passion and started a new business called Dream Outside the Lines. And that's actually what brought Vicki and Jeannie together and why I wanted to have them here today, because they just teamed up and I took a 4-week class with them all about creating our vision for the future. It was so incredible, and that's why I asked you both to be here on Inspired. It also so happens that our I've Decided weekly winning word is preparation. And since you both are always preaching about being prepared and being intentional with, our time and our money, I thought it would be great to share some of that with our viewers today. So it turns out, now that we're coming up on the new year, a lot of people are thinking about preparing. There's nothing that makes people prepare more than the idea of a fresh start of a new year. Or maybe it's that they didn't do everything that they wanted to do the year before. And so now they're inspired to do that. Maybe they didn't accomplish everything they wanted to accomplish last year, and now they're inspired to take action. So Jeannie, I want to dive in here and kind of start with you. In the Dream Outside the Lines class that we took, you had us sit down and create vision boards where we had to think about where we are, where we wanted to go, and then create a plan to get there. I thoroughly enjoyed making those vision boards. In fact, we brought some of them here today. I know you won't be able to necessarily see this, but it's a bunch of little things that we cut out of magazines. It's family pictures glued on a piece of poster board. So this might not mean anything to anyone else, but it sure does mean a lot to me. When I look at it, I think about all my hopes and dreams for the future. And one of the things that you taught us when creating those vision boards is not necessarily to think about what's practical, because it's a dream for your future. So tell us a little bit about why that's important and why you have us do that.
Well, first of all, thank you for having both of us on. And then also, when you talked about preparation, I thought, okay, I will go to Webster and we'll get his definition. And this is what Webster says: the act of preparing or fitting for a particular purpose. Well, we all have a purpose in life, and to get to that purpose, and that you start out with a dream. And once you have that dream, sometimes we express it, sometimes we don't, push it down. But from that dream, then it turns into a vision. And when you have then the vision, it turns into a goal. But you have to have that vision in front of you all the time. So that's where the vision board comes. And it is so much fun to have the vision board. You can do it by yourself, but it's so much fun to have other people
Friends.
around you, because you compare, you laugh, you dream about it or whatever. But I prefer to have a poster board. And you can have a small one, and I do have some small ones, but that big poster board is standing right there in front of you all the time. So you can, when you're sitting there and you're kind of down or something like that, it perks you up.
Yes.
Or when you get kind of sidetracked and everything, it'll bring you back to reality. So it just keeps you in tune to where you want to go and that. So basically, creating that vision board just, keeps you in line.
Yeah. Well, let's show them a little bit of yours too, because you're kind of a vision board expert. So you make one of these every couple years. Because
I make it probably more than a couple years, but
because everything, it changes,
Well, with this one here, it's kind of a fun one because I did it with you guys and that. And I always say, when I grow up, I want to be like Diane Keaton. I think she is just great.
She is the coolest lady,
right.
isn't she?
And so someday, but I put all kind of more fun things and gardening and, Magnolia. That's where I want to go, to Waco, Texas, to see Joanna Keynes. So that's on my list. And I'm always remembered about, like age and all that stuff. And it's just a number. So all of these fun things, but I will get serious and do a business one too, as it goes on and that. But, just with that vision, that you make a fun one. And you know what? You don't have to have a business. You can be a stay-at-home mom, and you can still do that because it's fun to make them with your kids, but it also teaches them the vision, the dream, and the goals that they want to, just in school.
The steps that they want to take to get there. And what I love about it, I had made a vision board in high school, and I had it in my hope chest, and I pulled it out, and I thought, oh my gosh, some of these things happened. And you wouldn't even remember that you had a dream for it, maybe 20 years ago. You wouldn't remember that you had a dream, but when you see it there and you realize, oh my gosh, that happened. That could happen again and again and again. So it's kind of a good little roadmap there. Something else that really came up in the class, of course we were amongst friends, so it really did bubble up a lot of those fears that keep you from your dreams. And I have learned that fears are disguised as excuses. And the biggest one I make is I don't have time. I don't have time to do this. I can't do any of these things because I'm juggling all these balls. I'm a wife and a mom and I get this. And when have I had time to sit down and do X, Y, and Z that I know I need to do? So you took some time in that class to teach us some time management techniques that you use. If you had one to share with our viewers that is the most important, that really primes you to meet your goals, what would that be?
I think it's my morning time, and that, which I'll talk about it a little bit later and everything. But you do have these obstacles and everything. And one of the things that Mark Victor Hansen had said is, don't wait until everything is right. It will never be perfect. There is always be challenges, obstacles, and less than perfect conditions. So what? Get started now. With each step you take, you will grow stronger and stronger and more skilled and more self-confidence and more successful.
Isn't that the truth?
Absolutely.
That's the absolute truth. Because if you wait until everything's perfect to get started, I mean,
never.
I know you guys have just a couple more years on me, but has ever anything in your life been the perfect timing for anything that ever happened? Because I can tell you in my short time on earth, it hasn't been. There's never the perfect time to start a business or have a kid or move or change careers. There's never a good time. You just do it.
No.
And it works itself out most of the time. It works
Right.
itself out.
It
So
does.
tell me about the morning routine that you do. Or tell it. I have been practicing this with my success planner and journal, and I also have a high performance planner. So I took some of your advice and I started my own little morning routine. But tell everybody what you do.
Well, usually I'm up somewhere between 5 and 6, and that is my time. Some people call it sacred gardens, some have other things. Mine is basically breakfast with Jesus. You know. So I have that time, and this is where, I have carved out a place in my office now. I have a big oversized couch, and you light your candles, you have your favorite cup, everything that is comfort to you.
Yes.
And you sit there and you can do reading, you can plan your day, gratitude, things you're grateful for, prayer requests that you have, anything that is on your heart that you want to talk about, or you want to journal. Now, I journal every single day. And so at the end of like a month, I will go back and review those journals to see, where some prayers have been answered, where some doors have been opened and doors are closed, or whatever. So to see where I'm kind of going from there, but each morning, that's the time. And if you don't do that, it just seems like the day controls you.
Yes.
Instead of you controlling the day. So be prepared and start that each morning. Sometimes you might only have 15, 20 minutes, but if you have little kids and that, get up earlier, set the alarm clock, because really it does benefit you even with them as it goes through the day.
And it is so hard to do. I mean, I would trade anything for an extra 15 minutes of sleep except for this.
Yes.
Because I do feel off if I don't do it. I walk in and the day is controlling me. And I know I'm not going to meet my objectives when I have that. So, Vicki, I want to go to you, because the second biggest excuse that people make, me included, I'll work on my dreams. Yeah, I'd love to go on that beach vacation. I'd love to have that dream kitchen that's on my vision board, but I don't have the money. And isn't that the biggest excuse?
that
Because
is an
you can
excuse.
take control of that. And you kind
Absolutely.
of taught us a little bit about that.
Yes.
So if you're empowered to take control of your money, it's not quite as scary. And it maybe makes it a little bit more fun if you can create a vision for that.
Absolutely. The thing I think is people think it's scary, and I mean, I did too. I was scared. But you just have to do what they say, feel the fear and do it anyway. And because I think soon after you start, I mean, a lot of people have told me, like the first time they did the budget, that they felt better because, number one, they knew their numbers.
Right.
And when you know stuff, even though it's not exactly like you want it to be, then, it helps you know where you are. And it's like, okay, if this is where I am, these are the things I have to do in order to get, over here.
Right.
So it gives them power, I think, from the beginning. It doesn't make it easy, but it makes it doable.
And certainly a better alternative than sticking your head in the sand and pretending it's not happening.
Exactly.
Because it's going to
Exactly.
happen all around you.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, until it really hurts,
Well,
somebody's
and
not going to do something.
The thing I think that happens is, we think, like, let's just pick retirement, for instance. People, that might be a goal for somebody for their vision, but it's like, if they're 30, they think, oh, I got plenty of time. And the next thing you know, they're 40, and then they're 45, and then they're 50, and they still haven't done anything yet. So it's really something that, you need to get serious about and, decide if you want this, you really have to start to plan. And it doesn't hurt as bad if you start earlier, because that gives you more time to get
right.
what you need.
And create those new habits. I mean, that's really what you
Exactly.
talk about, creating
Absolutely.
new habits and just
new
changing.
habits, new behaviors. Yeah.
Being mindful is the first, figuring out where your money's going and being mindful of
Exactly.
that.
Yes.
Well, and I'm sure that I have fallen victim to this self-sabotage as well, but people will create those plans. I'm sure you see this every day, and then they lose, they just peter out and don't, follow through, or they get back into those old habits. So how do you inspire them to stick with it, to really see it through to the end?
Well, the one thing, the vision board, is a helpful tool for that. If they put this goal on here, I want to pay off my debt by, 2021 or whatever it is, that can help. And if you look at that every day and maybe put something on there about the habits and behaviors you want to continue to do. Also, I encourage people to make like a chart, let's see, kind of like, when you see a fundraising event where they have the chart.
The
to
little
do that
thermometer thing.
Do that with your debt payoff, for instance, and every time you pay off $1,000, color in another line, and you see that growing. Some people
Another
do.
vision board.
Some people do a thing like a Christmas chain on a tree. They make the chain, and there's a loop for the chain for a certain amount of dollar. And I've seen people have them like looped all the way around like their bedroom or their living room 2 or 3 times because it's so much money. And what they do is every time they pay that off, they cut that chain down, so it's a link gone, and things like that.
A visual representation of it.
Make you see it almost every single day, and just keep that as a reminder. And I always tell people to first get their why, which is part of that vision board. It's why are we paying off this debt? And if they have a really good why, like say maybe it's to take a big family vacation, when they get done or something like that. So everybody in the household is thinking about that and working toward that thing because they really all want to do that thing.
And it's all going after that feeling of empowerment.
Exactly.
Oh, I love that. So in, just 15 minutes here, you have removed both of my biggest excuses for not, and everyone's biggest excuses for not following our hopes and dreams, the time and the money. Those are our 2 most valuable resources, and you've taught us how to get more of them. So thank you for doing that. Before we go today, I want to check in with my friend Daryl Crook, who is Fishing for Inspiration, and he's going to share with us how preparation is really a key to success. So let's see what Daryl has to say.
Oh, hey, Michelle. I'm out here fishing in the rain today, but I don't mind. I'm prepared. I've got my rain gear on. Speaking of being prepared, that reminds me of a fishing story. One time several years ago, I had an opportunity to fish with a couple friends of mine. I was visiting them down in the Taylorville area. They invited me to come down there, and we went out to a pond that I had never fished before. We had all the fishing equipment in the back of my truck, and we pulled up next to the pond. I got out and grabbed a pole out of the back of my pond that I had ready to go, and I walked down there, and right away I started catching fish. I caught one fish and then another fish. And the other 2 guys, what were they doing? They were still back at the truck digging through their tackle boxes trying to figure out what they were going to use. I was prepared and they were not. For the most part, that wasn't through any fault of their own. They don't fish nearly as much as I do. I had the experience. That experience had prepared me for that day so that I would know what to use first thing in the morning when we got out there. Our experiences prepare us for the future. Our experiences in the past, our experiences today prepare us for what the future has to bring us. What do you think about that, Michelle?
Well, I think you're right on, Daryl, and I'm going to try and remember that the next time I come up against a roadblock to remind me that that's preparing me for my future success, and I hope that would inspire me to keep going. You can find out more about Daryl Crook at fishingforinspiration.com. You can find more about the services that Vicki and Jeannie offer at dreamoutsidethelines.com. And Vicki's website is empoweredfinancialliving.com. Both Vicki, Jeannie, and I, and Daryl are all members of the I've Decided business community, and we invite you personally to join our community as an I've Decided community member. For only $12.99 a month, you can get access to all of the resources that we enjoy and also special promotions from our business members. So visit I'veDecided.org and find out more about that. Until next time, I'm Michelle Bohm, and this is Inspired.
StoryOfLife.com.